All right, Jim, our next question sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from DJ in Memphis, Tennessee. What do you think about AEW separating the rosters between Rampage and Dynamite? I was just thinking in my head how I would do things a little different and thought maybe more guys would get time on screen if the rosters were separated like Raw and SmackDown. The issue is, everyone hates the WWE brand split. I know Jim believes in one championship, so maybe one world title to bounce from show to show, but separate rosters, I'm not sure. What do you think? And I will say, never been a fan of the brand split, but it makes more sense for AEW than WWE if you look at the roster size and how many people they have. WWE should combine it immediately.
Well, yeah, here's the thing is, first of all, he said he was thinking in his head. What part of his anatomy does he usually think in? I'm just wondering about that. But no, don't split the brand. Obviously, you should feature some people on TV on Friday that you didn't feature on Wednesday and vice versa. But don't make them completely separate brands, because then number one, you're giving Tony Khan the task of picking who gets to be on what show. And since he does the weird job he does on everything else, then you'd end up seeing Daniel Garcia in the main event every Wednesday night instead of just once every 3 weeks. No, keep a roster. Have an individual champion and a tag team champion and a fucking TV champion or whatever if you want to. But keep the same roster and just have the discipline when you're writing the shows to, yes, my flagship is Wednesday night. It gets the best ratings. It's the best time slot. So that's going to be my A show, as Dusty used to call them, the A show, where that gets all of the top angles and the top talent, and that's what I want everybody to know primarily. The B show on Friday, we still want to feature top talent because it does a number whenever we do, and hockey's not kicking it off everywhere. But at the same time, this is to complement the A show. Have an angle or two running on the Friday night show between some people that the fans might be interested in, and then use the rest of it to juice up what you've done on Wednesday night, a package, a recap, comments about what happened and looking forward to the next week. Use it to promote your show the following Wednesday. Use Wednesday to promote the show on Friday. Make them work together, and they have their place in the pecking order, but not completely different talent. Or then the only thing you've got similar between the two programs is the name AEW. And no, if you've got more real estate, you don't want to start from scratch on something completely different. You want to spread out what you've been doing on your main television program and make it better and explain it more. I've mentioned in special cases, while they were being bumped around, no reason to get froggy and decide I'm going to write the best TV shows of all time that are going to be on at 5 in the afternoon or 11 o'clock at night or whatever. Give the people something and flesh out what you're doing on your main program. And then when you're back in your normal time slot, then you got to give them a main event or something attractive, but you want to cross promote your main stuff as much as possible. So the problem is there is nothing that really continues from week to week on the Friday night program. It's just the catch-all for all the fucking yahoos he doesn't have room for on Wednesday night. And then you don't really get a lot of news from Wednesday night, which is probably the stuff that the bigger stars that are doing than is on the Friday night show. It sits out there, just kind of bites. And we don't even see fucking Mark Henry anymore conducting the interview. He just pops in with his head to say, it's time for the main event. They started the program. It was going to have its own identity and its own commentators. And now it's just, well, here's the outtakes. So that's what I think.
Do you think there is any way, because you run into the problem that if the people at home know that it's one parent organization who owns everything, they know that. You can't take that away. But is there a way to try to cure the problem of we have nowhere to send people? If you were a billionaire, and not just Tony, but just anyone, to use an example, a billionaire wrestling fan, and you have a giant roster, and you have a television partner who likes you, at some point do you say, I'd like there to be a way I could send some of my guys somewhere. There isn't that place. I should create that place. I could create a few of those places. Is there any possibility of that being something that would work?
Well, not in this situation. He's already got someplace to send somebody. Ring of Honor, which doesn't have a television program,
right,
or a roster, or is not functioning, but they've got champions that are defending the belts on the other programs, which is another way to water down and dilute all your titles because everybody's got a belt. If it would be a good idea to, if you have an unlimited amount of money.
That's what we call the Jacques Rougeau fan club, the unlimited amounties.
Yeah, but if you got an unlimited amount of money, start a place where guys can go to get experience. But then not only does Tony have to figure out how to book and run a national television promotion, but he's got to book and run a territory, which is even more difficult. And nobody in that company is going to be running any territories in the near future. There'd be 3 people probably on his payroll with experience in it, and they're all over 60. So it would be an idea, but not for these people to do that, because not a single one of them could run a local territory. Getting local television, establishing local sponsors, getting local buildings booked to give the guys work to get experience.
That's kind of my question. If there was a way, and again, there is only so many things Tony could do. We talk about the fact AEW has a great partner with Warner. That doesn't mean Ring of Honor has anywhere to go. And until they do, they have nowhere to go. But I'm not even talking about running a territory, because that's not even what Tony's doing. He runs 1 show a week, sometimes 2. Maybe 3 if there's a pay-per-view. But that's it. I mean, there are no house shows. There's nothing else. Is there, again, he's a billionaire, and using him as an example, but it could be anyone. If you didn't have to worry about any of that, and you were just running a TV taping that would be somehow stylistically different than the other show, so that if you went from one to another, it would mean something. Is there anything to that?
Boy, something different. There would be something to it, but it looks like their normal television program is a rock rolling down a hill, completely out of control. So now we're going to add different moving parts. I just don't see how they could pull it off. But I don't
think Tony should be booking all of this.
No, but he won't let anybody else do anything. He said that. So he said that to me 4 years ago, and he said it since. And he means it. I wonder if, am I the only, maybe I am I the only motherfucker that as soon as he said to them, nobody's going to book my promotion but me, they immediately tuned everything out that he said? Because I'm wondering if he ran off a bunch more people with that statement, because most of the people that I knew, worked with, and had any admiration for in the wrestling business, when they heard that statement from that guy, they didn't hear another goddamn word from him. Now, the people that wanted a check and wanted a job and didn't care whether it was going to be any good or not, they probably did quite a bit more listening. But no, I wonder how many people has chosen not to be involved in this because they know that Tony Khan is not going to get out of the way and let anybody do anything.
I think, unfortunately, with the wrestling business, there aren't too many people who have a principle and stand for it. I don't think there
But do you want to swim around in a goddamn septic tank? Like Punk said, I don't want to be another guy doing bad television. So he went to a place where he could do a good segment, and then the rest of the TV was bad. But at least his was good. But anyway, yes, all those ideas would be great, but I don't see anybody pulling any of those ideas off.
Well, what's really sad and really awful is here I am trying to come up with ideas to help wrestlers, give them more places to work, more places to gain employment, and you're just shooting it right down, hurting the potential for all these wrestlers, the potential future income, the families that you're taking money and food right off their table. If I was one of these wrestlers, and I'm not, but if I was, I'd probably want to sue.
God damn it, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic couldn't have stretched far enough to grab that one around the throat. But I'll attempt to do something with it. You know, if somebody wants to sue my ass, well, you can't do it because I've got the lawyer all wrapped up. But if you want to sue somebody else's ass, I know exactly who you should call.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Still sue the rest.
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, you had that sinus infection, Brian. When you went to the doctor, he must have removed your transition gland or your segue fucking gland. But anyway, folks, if you'd like to sue somebody, call Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084. We've mentioned him so many times on the program. He's a worldwide celebrity now. You know, he's our legal expert here on the programs. I guess now we got to get a doctor since there's so many injuries. We got to have a medical an analyst here as well. But Stephen P. New can analyze your chances of winning your case in an open court and then doing everything he can to bring that case to justice and to bring you the compensation that you so richly deserve, whether it's wrongful termination, whether you've been injured, whether you've been poisoned, whether someone's neglect or negligence has caused you or your family to in any way be inconvenienced or physically harmed. Now is the time to write down this number, 888-692-8084. Now is the time to log on to newlawoffice.com and see not only all the cases he had won, nearly $100 million in judgments for people just like you, and many more people who look better than you and are nicer than you. But that's just me. But he's also a philanthropist. We've mentioned this many times. He gives money to feed the homeless and to clothe the hungry and to house the naked and do all those things, and gets also...
He's such a good guy. You do this to him every week.
How did I suddenly have him clothing the homeless, feeding the naked, and whatever else he gets?
Yes, folks, he's on a commune. That's where he lives.
He gives all those people everything that they need. He'll give you what you need and more. If you just call Stephen at 888-692-80, tell him Brian told you to call. Brian Last said call at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're always up. You never sleep.
Do not call him in the middle of the night. Otherwise, you can say I called.
He answers the phone quite a bit. He's got his own private eye, you know, the Pinkertons. Adam and Billy Pinkerton, they never sleep. Stephen P. New, newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084. Do you know that's how the term private eye came into existence? Do you know that story, Brian?
I'm not sure.
In the 1800s, before there was an FBI or any type of federal law enforcement agency, it was just local sheriffs and marshals and things of that nature. There was a private security firm called the Pinkerton Agency, and they hired gunfighters and roughnecks and men of all sorts to hire out to the railroads and banks and the Pony Express and people who needed protection that the law at the time did not cover. And this was a for-profit basis. But the Pinkerton Agency, their slogan was, "We never sleep." They were always on the lookout, and "We never sleep," the Pinkerton Agency, was written around an eye that was open, because they never sleep. And because they were a private security force, the Pinkerton men started to be known as Private Eyes. And that led to the formation of the modern private detective.
Very interesting. And later on, of course, Pinkerton met Cho-Cho-san, and we got Madame Butterfly out of that. Let's get going.
Hey, I'm trying to just educate the people here. And
so am I.
This out of me.
So am I. I love the opera.